We will now recess, we will now reconvene and announce closed session action. City Attorney, will you please report closed session action?
So items 1, 2, and 3 on the closed session agenda. The City Council received a status report. No formal action was taken. Item number 4 on the closed session agenda, the City Council received a report from its legal counsel and gave direction, and that ends the closed session report.
Okay, this special City Council meeting is now adjourned. Called to order. I'd like to call to order a regular City Council meeting. City Clerk Duarte, please take roll.
Councilmember Ashton.
Present.
Councilmember Frometa.
Present.
Councilmember Saab.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco.
Present.
And Mayor Rodriguez.
Here. Seeing the invocation, I'll do it myself. Please all rise. Please join me at a time of prayer. Bow your head and close your eyes and join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this place. We thank you for allowing us to fill the room with people of kind hearts, Lord, that want to serve you in our city. Lord, we pray that you go before us, guide us and direct us, Lord. Keep our decisions whole, Lord. Keep our directions always going forward, Lord. We thank you for this time. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I'd like to now call Scout Miles. Miles, please step up to do the flag salute.
Nice. I've responded to everybody. I've gotten about 6 or 7 emails.
Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Miles. Good job.
There's going to be quite a few. There's going to be quite a few, I'm sure.
So it looks like we have a full house, a lot of things to talk about and celebrate. So let's start off with our City Council member announcements and requests for future agenda items and reports of conference and meetings. Starting with my extreme left, my big little brother, Councilman Saab.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everyone. Nice to always see the council chambers packed, especially now that school's over. I want to congratulate the teachers who had a successful year, and all the students. When we have the teachers raise their hand, please just give them a round of applause. And administrators. We're fortunate in our city. You know, we've always said what makes our city special is our independence, our the fact that we have our own fire department, our own police department, and our own school district. And that's really, I think, what sets us aside from so many of our neighboring communities. So thank you to our teachers for doing what you do, and we hope you enjoy your summer, well-deserved summer. A few people in the audience I want to recognize. I'm trying to keep my comments short. If not, the mayor will slap us down a little bit. I'd like to give a special welcome to the Downey Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, Michael Calvert. I saw him somewhere in the back. Thank you, Mr. Calvert, who is also serves as president of the Downey Los Amigos Kiwanis, so thank you, Mr. Calvert. And then I also saw my planning commissioner from District 5, Noveris Frometa. Thank you. And I thought I saw a school board member, but I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, couple ribbon cuttings that are coming up. I want to invite the public, or a couple events are coming up. This Wednesday, tomorrow, at 7 p.m. is the first of the summer concert series at Furman Park. That is at 7 p.m. at Furman Park. The band tomorrow is the Mark Easterday Country Band. So everyone's invited. It's free. If you haven't been before, it's a great community event. I think there'll be 5 this year, if I'm not mistaken, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. People usually get to about 6. Make sure you bring your own, beach chair or whatever you want to bring, and lots of fun. And then on Monday is the Summer Library Show, Mighty Mickey's Magic at the Downey Theater, and that is at 4 o'clock. And then if you golf, the Downey Chamber of Commerce is having their annual golf tournament next Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning at Rio Hondo. Just 2 items for staff. I know it's a little late, but I saw a neighboring community that also has an app, which our app for actually a good time to bring it up. For those who do not know, we have a app, Downey app. I think it's My Downey app or My Downey app. You can look it up, and If you haven't downloaded it, I invite you to do so. It's a great opportunity for you to help our city serve you. You can report anything from lights that are out in the street to potholes, graffiti. It takes maybe 40 seconds from the time you start it to by the time it sends a message over onto a city hall, and it takes a picture and it finds your location, and believe me, staff is extremely responsive, especially the graffiti. I use it all the time. I think Lisa Fox is here, but they do a great job. So having said that, one of the neighbors community who also uses an app had an opportunity on there to report illegal fireworks. I know it's a little bit late before July, but nonetheless, throughout the year, sometimes there are fireworks that go off, and maybe people just don't know where to call or who to call or whatnot. If it's, I don't know how difficult it is to add another function. I know there's a lot of functions on there. If we can add that or look into it, that would be great. And then I also wanted to make sure, I wanted to also bring something up. And I wanted the council to know, since I'm the representative of the Southeast Water Coalition, which we had a big conversation last week regarding the municipal Central Basin's attempt to impose a meter tax. And I want to bring that up because I think at first glance, I just can't imagine our residents will be in favor of a meter tax, especially the fact that we don't import any water. So I think our council member needed to know that. I know it's going for a vote soon, and I think I was surprised that most cities, I would say that all cities that I know of around us, have already sent letters of opposition. And I think we need to take a position on it before the vote. I think it's on the 25th, I believe, which is before the next council meeting. So if we haven't done so, I think we need to either have a special council meeting if we have to or not, but I strongly recommend that we oppose that attempt by Central Basin to impose a tax. I don't think it benefits our residents. I can't even imagine our residents would be in favor of it, and it just doesn't seem right given that organization. Okay, thank you. And that concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Claudia Fermetta.
Good evening, everybody. It is so nice to see all of you here this evening. Welcome to our council meeting. We want to try to keep our comments brief, but we want to welcome you all. Engaged communities are strong communities. That's what I always say. And so it's nice to see all of you here this evening. The last several weeks as a council, we've had the opportunity to participate in several groundbreaking events throughout our city. As many of you know, Downey is embarking on a very exciting journey. And over the next 18 to 24 months, we will see a tremendous improvement in the infrastructure of our city, thanks to that tax, the Measure S tax that you voted on, the majority of our residents voted on, and that was a 0.5 cent tax increase that would generate $50 million. Now, talk about your money at work right now in our city. And in the history of the city of Downey, we have never seen such a tremendous improvement in movement all at the same time. So having said that, I've had the privilege to attend a couple of the groundbreakings these last few days, or last week actually. The Fire Station 1 on Paramount and Fire Station 3 also on Paramount north of Florence. And this is really significant, and it really brought chills to us. All of us were present during these groundbreakings because again, this is something that we're doing that is going to impact your lives, youth commissioners, and the new generations to come. We are making sure that from a perspective of providing our fire responders, our first responders, the accommodations that you need to be able to provide the safety and security that we need for our residents. And so we are embarking on this journey. At the same time, a couple of our parks are currently undergoing massive renovations, and we understand that that may be a little inconvenient, but at the same time, these things need to happen. Months will go pretty quickly, and before we know it, we will have 2 amazing fire stations, and then we'll embark with 2 others, number 2 and number 4, and then the other parks in our city. At the same time, Our library is undergoing that renovation. And so again, we can't do things all at the same time, but we are doing our very best. So we want to thank you for your patience. We want to thank you for your understanding. And if there are ways that we can better serve you and communicate with you, I've got to tell you, we are doing the very best we can through our website, through the app, through the various billboards you see throughout our city. And so that's very exciting things. While other communities are struggling with economic insolvency and political infighting, Downey is doing the very best it can to provide a better community for its residents. I want to echo what Councilmember Saab mentioned regarding the water meter tax. This is something, Council, that I think we do need to take a position on, and I would support calling a special meeting to review this matter and ensure that our residents, that we vote against it sooner rather than later. One thing that I want to also one thing that I would like our staff to look into, understanding that we have so much going on, and in appreciation for what Delfino and Public Work does, and also you, Mr. Director of Development. I want to make sure that as we go, yes, Aldo, I know what his name is, but I want to make sure that we look at code enforcement and potential code enforcement violations. There are some areas in our city that are looking a little tired. As I drive down Paramount Boulevard south of Imperial, there are some small strip malls or strip areas that, again, I think in recent past, we have very strong codes in terms of how owners and businesses must keep their properties. And I realize that we're busy with a lot of things, but we really need to make sure that we enforce those. Same goes with properties. We understand that families sometimes fall on hard times, and I know we had a presentation regarding some of those grants that are available, but there are some things that I think we do need to explore a little further and ensure that our residents, and especially if we have neighbors that are really, aside from hard times, but maybe negligence, that we do look at enforcing some of those codes. Mr. Mayor, that will conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to a teacher friend of ours, Councilman Sean Ashton.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'll keep my comments brief. I attended a couple of neighborhood watch meetings over the past couple weeks, and one item for staff that was brought up on Cole Street between Paramount and Downey. They were having issues with speeding. So people cutting through that as a shortcut, but kind of going a little bit faster than normal for a residential street. So if we can get I know they probably already asked for the temporary speed signs that let you know, but if we can look into putting like more of the permanent ones that we have throughout in certain areas, if we can see if that's possible for those residents, so that way they can feel safer in their front yards without having to worry about cars going at 40, 50 miles an hour down that street. Other than that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Mayor Pro Tem Blanca Pacheco.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure seeing everyone here. A couple of events that I attended, they were groundbreaking events. And as our Councilwoman Claudia Frometa mentioned, we attended the library groundbreaking. It's an exciting time because we're doing a lot in our city. And I'm excited to see what our library will look like in the summer of 2020, which is when we anticipate our library reopening. And I'm sure a lot of you are excited about that. But equally exciting are our new fire stations. We attended two groundbreakings, fire station both 1 and 3. And with that being said, I do want to acknowledge our firefighters and our first responders who are in attendance today at our council meeting. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Also, I wanted to mention there's a Ghost Skate Day on June 21st at Meredith Perkins Skate Park, and this is from noon to 5 p.m. And also, I wanted to mention a Downey Chamber of Commerce event. They're installing their new officers on June 25th at noon at Embassy Suites. I do have one matter of concern that I did want to bring up. This is for our police chief. Recently, we had new speed limit signs posted on Artis in between Imperial and Foster. It was a reduction of speed. And I'd like to see if we can have more patrolling being done in this area to ensure that the residents obey the new speed limits. Thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Blanca. So for me, I'm pretty busy these days with a lot of things to do. I attended a mayor's regional meeting with Mayor Garcetti and probably about 40 other mayors of 40 other cities to discuss the idea of our children 0 to 5. And in California, it's a very challenging time for children 0 to 5 because 28% of them are ready to go to kindergarten or preschool because the majority of them stay home with their grandparents or other family members. So it's a top priority for a lot of mayors in our region is education for kids 0 to 5. I also attended the groundbreakings, as we mentioned earlier. And then the last weekend was a Greek festival. What a great time. If you guys didn't go, next year, please go to the Greek festival. The food is great. It's a wonderful opportunity to just have a great time with our Greek community and the Greek church there on Downey Avenue. Our Columbia Space Center, where's Ben? Ben, put your hand up. Where's Ben? There he is. So there he is, right there in front. We have a wonderful, I can't say enough good about it, our Columbia Space Memorial. And it's ran by my friend Ben. I say my friend Ben because I can call him in the middle of the night and say, Ben, I have an idea. And Ben runs with it. So I did that recently. I had an idea to bring the United States Army Space Command here to our Columbia Space Memorial. And so we entertained the operational officers for the U.S. Army Space Command, the first time ever, and it was a hit. We brought other groups that are supportive of the military, other Army officials, and they couldn't believe what a jewel we have in our city. So if you've not gone to the Space Center, you're not taking your children there, please go. There's so many things to do during the summer. It's a great opportunity to enjoy yourself there at the Space Memorial. Earlier today, we had our monthly Coyotes at a Downey meeting, our COUD meeting, and I'm proud to announce that we have 9 volunteers that have passed backgrounds and they're ready to hit the streets. We'll be planning to, we're working on now to do a town hall meeting in the Downey Island area to advise the residents there how to protect themselves away from coyotes and so forth. And so we've been very fortunate that we've had the volunteers step up and to be part of this. And then lastly, I spoke earlier at the Rotary, and being a very fond member of Kiwanis, Blanca and I went to go speak at Rotary. That's always a fight waiting to happen, but we had a good time with the Rotary guys. Okay, that's it for me. Let's do some presentations. So do we have a teacher, Kathy Ambroso? Yep, okay. Okay, where's Kathy at? Come on up, Kathy. And you have a friend named Mindy Paredes. Is she here? Mindy? Is Mindy here? Mindy's not here. We have somebody who can represent Mindy? Okay, come on. So Kathy is a Williams Elementary School teacher. And Kathy, let me tell you why you're here. So I have this opportunity to share with our city people do great things in our city. It's called the Mayor's Servant Heart Award. So I put it out to the entire city. I asked them to tell me a story. Tell me a story about somebody that does something great above and beyond the Call of Duty just because they're that kind person. So Mindy wrote me a letter to talk about you, and that's what you're going to be that recipient tonight. So please, would you step in for Mindy?
Okay, so I got my own little paper here. Thank you, Mayor. I was ready. All right. Thank you, Mayor Rodriguez and members of the City Council. It is with great pleasure to speak about my friend and colleague, Kathy Ambroso. I know that the Servant Heart Award is just what it says. It is given for those people who want to go out of and do good for others without being rewarded or being told to do so. So I have the honor of introducing Kathy. Kathy has served Downey Unified School District for 36 years and has been a dedicated Williams staff member. Williams has seen firsthand the passion she has served the students and the community. Kathy has worn many hats at Williams. She taught a variety of grade levels and has been our categorical resource coordinator for over a decade. All of our classrooms have benefited from her creativity and generosity. Kathy does everything amazing and is always ready to help. Our students hold a special place in Kathy's heart, and Kathy holds a special place at Williams Elementary. She is truly deserving of the City Servant of Heart Award. Thank you.
So you get to get one of these cool kid pins, but will you pin her for me?
Thank you.
And then I have something here for you, Kathy. And this says, Kathy Ambroso, in recognition, in behalf of the citizens of Downey, in recognition of your selfless dedication and always going above and beyond for others, your heartfelt efforts and accomplishments have been enormous value to our community and have helped to further the common goal of making our city a better place for all. Given this day by me, Rick Rodriguez, the mayor.
I don't know what to say, but thank you so much. This is such a wonderful honor, and I appreciate all the friends and family that were here. Thank you.
Okay, if I can call our city manager, Gilbert Levis, to assist me with Public Service Recognition Week.
Mr. Mayor, this is actually a great time for me every year where I have an opportunity to thank the employees for what they do. It's National Public Service Recognition Week. It started in 1985 and it happens in May. And ironically, we have our youth commissioners here today too, our future leaders that are here today. We just recognized the Servant Award winner, Kathy Ambroso. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you about what the public employees do in Downey on a daily basis. It's something that is really unique, I think, and I can say that because as a public employee and as somebody that's gone into service, there's not a better feeling than giving back to a community in which you work. If you look at the employees that we're going to recognize today, they come from every department in the city. And when you think about what they do, it's a minor miracle. There are 113,000 residents in the city. They maintain the water, the streets, the parks. We make sure that we have economic development, and we have our fire and police protection. And the things that go on a daily basis, what we recognize and what we do is to say to them, thank you for your service, because we keep safe drinking water, and when there is a national crisis or a local crisis or whatever it may be, we have our first responders, and we can certainly sleep well knowing that those folks are here to make sure that you're getting the service that you deserve. I want to read you briefly a quote from Tom Fox. He's a vice president for leadership and innovation at the nonprofit Partnership for Public Service. And he was recently speaking to a group of graduating students. And I took just a small paragraph from his speech, and he says, public service has never faced as stern a test as it does today. People are watching our government, and with this challenge comes an opportunity. People are thirsty for quality government. They want to be reminded of that distinctly American feeling that theirs is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. A government that works for them. They want leaders like the people that we're going to recognize, like you, who stand up and make our government stand out. So tonight, we're recognizing outstanding employees who make Downey stand out. So let's give them a round of applause, please. So representing the City Clerk's Department, Yolanda Chavez, if I can have you come up, please. And then I will call up Agustin Estrada from social media. He's a social media intern from the City Manager, City Council's office. Jasmine Cervantes, activity specialist, Columbia Memorial Space Center. Cindy Solis, Administrative Clerk 2, Community Development Department. Denise Johnston, Administrative Clerk, Finance IT Department. David Blade, Fire Engineer, Fire Department. Beatrice Tapia, Human Resource Specialist, Human Resources Department. Andrew Dupree, Supervising Librarian, Library. Monica Ortiz, Recreation Supervisor, Parks and Recreation. Jose Barajas, Police Corporal, Police Department. And the last gentleman, if you just give me a second, I do really want to give him a special shout out. This gentleman, and it tells you some of the work that they do is a dangerous job. We had recently one of our Public Works employees have an accident and suffer second and third degree burns on his body. And it's a testament to who he is and his character and the fight that he has, that he's here today, eager to come back to work. And I'd like us to give a big round of applause to Agustin Andrade, Maintenance Worker 2, Public Works. Folks, the people that you see here standing today have been picked by their supervisors as examples of what it is to be a public servant. They go beyond the call of duty to make sure that they provide you with the best service that they can possibly provide on a daily basis. So as the city manager and on behalf of the city council and the mayor, thank you very much for the outstanding work that you do. And we certainly you make me proud, you make the citizens of Downey proud, and your supervisors as well. So thank you so much, and we thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you.
So we have a proclamation here at Gilbert for me to give to you. Hold on a second here. Whereas Americans are served every single day by the public servants at the federal, state, and county and city levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keep our nation working. And whereas public employees take not only jobs but oaths, whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their life each day in the service to the people of the United States of America and around the world. And whereas public servants include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors, astronauts, nurses, safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, and social workers, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide a diverse service demanded by the American people for their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at an entry level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Therefore, I, Rick Rodriguez, being the mayor of the city of Downey, do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens set seal hereto on May 5th to May 11th is Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize this accomplishment and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and city. Thank you for your service. Let's go. All together, one big family. Sean's in the back. Please go, Sean's in the back. Sean and Alex in the back.
Hey, no, my gut, man.
Don't go away. Don't want you to handle this. It's tough. Don't go away, Alex. Yeah. Okay, so now, Downey FC Soccer Club. Alex Hobb.
If we can have you guys come up, please. And your coach. Or manager.
Line up behind it, line up behind it.
Yeah, where are you?
All the way.
All right, 'cause you-
Cal South State Cup champs. Over here. Cal South State Cup champs.
Cal South.
State Cup champs.
All right, so tonight is a special night because we recognize some of the great champions in our city. The FC Soccer Club, it's 17 and under, right?
Yes.
17 and under, and they're very proud to bring the cup home. They won the state Cal Cup State Championship. Yeah. Good. Okay, I'm going to have the coach say a few words, and then we're going to recognize each one of them.
Thank you, Alex. Oh man, I'm nervous. Now, thank you, Mayor and City Council, for recognizing this great group of young ladies. I'm just kidding. Yeah, there we go. I'll get
Yeah, I'm like always. I always back you up. Okay, I'm just gonna read off of what Coach Gutierrez has in his phone. It says, "Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for recognizing this group of young, talented ladies. These young ladies, besides being great soccer players, are also a great group of ladies off the field. Ladies, please do not forget to thank your parents." For taking you to practices, games, and tournaments. Our other coaches that are not here, I believe Octavio, Juan, and myself, we thank you very much. this tournament that we went into, it was a group of almost 40 teams. We went undefeated, only allowing 3 goals. We had about almost 17 goals in favor. It wasn't easy, but these girls being down, they proved that anything is possible. The thing that I love about these girls is their attitudes. They never quit. They're always at it. And like I told all of them since game 1, the only team that can beat us is ourselves. And they proved it on the field. So, ladies, thank you very much for being a part of my life, a part of Gutierrez's life. And you girls know that I love you guys. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to call your name. If you, Mr. Mayor, if you could stay up, and the mayor is going to hand you a certificate and give you a handshake. So let's give a hand for Arabella Gallegos. Liliana Galindo. Kimberly Ferrufino. Not here. Natalie Cruz. Angie Ceja. Giselle Castaneda. Jasmine Calvillo. Emily Barrera. Amanda Appel. Brooklyn Ramirez. Ashley Ramirez. Haley Mercado. Jasmine Membreno. Haley Limon. Ariana Lepe. Alexis Haudegi. Amelie Hernandez. Sol Guerrero. Jessica Guardado. Sofia Velasquez. And we all know without good coaches, none of this could happen. Jose Mercado. And my good friend, Jose Gutierrez. Let's line up right here. Soccer style, half a line in the front. Good, thank you.
Okay, next up is certificates of appointment by Urban Forest Management Plan Work Group. Delfino Kansuji, can you please come to help me?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, City Manager Livas, and the community. As you probably know, the city is currently in the process of developing an urban forest management plan. And part of that plan, we have established a working group that is made up of appointees by the City Council in each district. And the group is tasked with developing the vision statement, the framework and guideline for the development of the management plan, and also establishing tree maintenance guidelines. So this group will be meeting over the next 6-7 months to develop the plan. So just to let you know who the members of the working group are, so tonight I would like to call, starting with the chair, Don Lampkin.
He's out of town. He's out of town.
Vice Chair Anthony Jones. George Red Fox.
I didn't know.
And Catherine Waters.
I didn't know.
So together with the certificate of appointment, they also get a pin.
My appointment showed up.
Monica Ortiz, front and center, please. As we recognize our outgoing youth commissioners. A long walk with those little legs all the way down here.
I know.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So today we are going to be recognizing some exceptional students. Throughout the year, our Youth Commission is comprised of students in the city. Let me go back a little bit and give you a little bit of history. So these students attend schools in Downey. They are residents of Downey, so they are your true advocates at the high school level. So they are continuously advocating for city government. They are advocating with their peers, and they advocate with their student bodies. They are consistent volunteers throughout the year in our community. They are appointed by your city council, so they hold some pretty talented students in the city. So again, today we are recognizing their the outgoing seniors. So we'll be presenting them with a token of appreciation, of course. They'll be getting some certificates. And then, of course, we also have some additional youth commissioners here that are present this evening for recognition. So I just want to give them a round of applause, and I encourage you to give them a round of applause. They'll also be doing a quick presentation and a little bit of an overview of their year and their volunteer efforts, of course, giving you a little bit more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and ask our seniors to please stand and go ahead. Well, can everybody actually stand now? And we're going to give them just one more recognition. And I'll just give you their names so we can kind of give everybody recognition. There's Sage Ceja is present. She is our chair. Alyssa Navarez is our co-chair. Kayla Terrazas is present. Chayla Farias, Kristen Rodriguez, Andrew Kazaya, Nathaniel Mongan, Blake Brosmer, Adrian Vera, and Jacqueline Rodriguez. Thank you again for attending. And at this time, I'm going to invite the seniors to please come forward, because we're going to ask you guys to do your quick overview and your presentation.
Okay, I just want to see how that went. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sage Ceja, and I was the chair for the City of Downey's Youth Commission for the 2018-2019 school year. Tonight, I would like to share some of the accomplishments we have made this year and talk about who we are and what we strive to do. So youth commissioners are high school students who reside in the City of Downey, and after completing an application, we are appointed by City Council. This year, I had the privilege of meeting and working with 13 other very intelligent, driven, and community-oriented students from schools all around our area. We had students from Warren High School, Downey High School, Loyola High School in Los Angeles. We also had students from Los Alamitos and St. Pius Matthias. So as youth commissioners, we attend monthly meetings where we discuss upcoming events, ideas on how to improve our community, at each meeting, we have a hot topic where we talk about things like college, our goals, and our community. Some of city events we attended this year included the Halloween event. At this event, Commissioners Vera, Farias, Kazaya, and I passed out candy to all the trick-or-treaters who came. And after this, we helped lead some of the games and activities like the ball and the jug game and the ring toss. This year, for the first time, the Youth Commission was allowed to participate in the annual holiday parade. We were able to walk along many other groups that are involved in our city, and Commissioner Mongan came up with a little cheer we did while walking. Commissioners Rodriguez, Jacqueline Rodriguez, Secretary Zepeda, and I were able to be judges in the holiday home decorating contest this year. We were taken all across the city, and we were able to see how creative, talented, and artsy the residents of Downey can be. We judged each home on a different variety of categories, but each home wowed us in a different way. This year, the Youth Commission had its own booth at the TLC 5K. Our goal at this booth was to inform people on the importance of community involvement and volunteering. We provided flyers on different events, in our city, and we also provided other flyers that gave opportunities for volunteering. We also gave medals to every individual who completed the 5K. I'm also very proud to say that, to my knowledge, we are the first commissioned to give a medal to one of the horses on a mounted officer. The horse did a fantastic job. On the evening before Brunch with the Bunny, Commissioners Kazaya, Vera, and I helped prepare for this event by boiling over 250 eggs so that kids could dye them the next day. I don't think I've eaten an egg since that day, but after seeing how excited all the kids were, boiling the eggs was definitely worth it. So this year we have some commissioners graduating out, and here's what's next for them. I will be attending the University of California, Santa Barbara, and I plan on studying economics. Vice Chair Alyssa Navarez will be attending the University of California, Los Angeles, and plans on studying psychology. Commissioner Kirsten Rodriguez will be attending Cal State Long Beach and plans to study psychology. Shayla Farajas will be attending Cerritos College and is going to study psychology. Kayla Terrazas is going to be attending Loyola Marymount University and will be studying political science. We look forward to furthering our educations at such great schools. Oh, okay. On behalf of the 2018-2019 Youth Commission, I would like to thank every person who helped give us such an amazing and unique one-of-a-kind experience. Serving on the Youth Commission allowed us to truly see and understand what community service is. We saw and took part in the planning, preparing, the actual event, and seeing what we can improve on for our next events. So thank you all, City Council, Parks and Recreation staff, and most importantly, the residents of Downey for giving us the ability to serve our community and for teaching us that even just an hour of community involvement can go a long way.
So I have a few certificates here. Start off with Sage Seha. Thank you. Alyssa Navarez. Kayla Terrazas. Shayla Ferris. Oh, this one's hard to say. Kristen, Rodriguez. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our seniors that are graduating out of the program. I have to tell you, if this is what our future in Downey looks like, we're in great shape. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you guys. Can you just real quick up front?
Yeah, we can take a break.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes. Item 1, operating covenant agreement for Champion Auto Group, LLC DBA Downey Maserati. Announcing tonight's public hearing item will now be heard and will be continued to the regular city council meeting of June 25th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Is there a motion and a second to continue?
Second.
Please vote.
Do we need a vote?
Please vote.
No public comment?
Nope.
I'll address that after the vote.
A motion to continue the public hearing item to the regularly scheduled city council meeting of June 25th, 2019 was approved unanimously.
There's no public comment on this item because the item was pulled off of the agenda and continued. There's no staff report, there's no proposed action, so the time to do public comment will be at June 25th. That'll be the time and place where we hold the public hearing on this item.
So now, non-agenda public comment is now time for non-agenda public comment. Before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I'd like to remind members of the audience. Members of the audience who wish to address the city council during non-agenda public comment are prohibited from engaging in any conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, such as yelling, screaming, cheering, or whistling. If a speaker engages in the conduct that disrupts or interferes with the meeting, I will ask the city manager to have the speaker removed from the chambers until the end of non-agenda public comment period. I remind the speakers that each person has 5 minutes to speak on non-agenda items and that your comments be addressed to me and not to any other council or staff member. Please step forward and state your name for the record, those wishing to speak.
Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Herman, welcome.
Hi. I know that you took a big hit with that First Amendment rule that you decided to suppress me with, but I'm just trying to create a atmosphere of ideas, and suppression of ideas is not just simply quoting my beliefs or my opinion, but take for example Brandenburg versus Ohio. Yes, it's very offensive. U.S. 395, 444, 1969. It's very, very. But remember, the ideas of constitutional viewpoints should not be discriminated against. No one in here in this council should be afraid to stand here and point their point of views, whether or not they speak good English, have a good vocabulary, or decide to use what you call disruptive language. But in my perspective, I'm using the rules of decorum of the Brown Act, the Bainley Act, the Bain Act 52.1, and I'm pointing out, alleging violations of 42 U.S.C. 1983, of First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and rights under the California Article 1 section of the California Constitution. So you see, I do a little bit of my homework. And I'm not out to sue people, as you brought out to the attention of the public, which is very unfair and very unprofessional, when you're the one that wrote the check for me. And you told me specifically I am not supposed to talk about that nice little chunk of change you provided in my hand, sir. And you're a very Catholic man, I believe.
I'm not a Catholic, Mr. Herman, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Well, you're religious. How's that?
Thank you.
See, for me, I believe religion can be a hell. As you heard of Del Sol de Mundo, what he did to those women and children.
I don't know.
Well, I can relate to that.
Okay.
Because, in fact, it's true and uncomfortable when religious people take advantage of the public. It's realistic when policemen engage with children in barbecues and have sex. And I might say that word, but I'm not tonight. But people know where I'm coming from. They've read it, they heard it, but they're in disbelief. They can't believe an elected official by the name of Eric Garcetti, who you mentioned tonight, and you addressed me saying to me that that's not a public comment. Well, it is. Eric Garcetti is a true asshole. He's brought to our attention with immorality, disbelief, and the issue of homelessness. HHH, measure J, measure S, Measure H. How much more? And Ms. Romero forgot to measure about Measure S, how it's our capital improvement. But where does it come from? It comes from when we let our society breaks down and homelessness, elderly citizens, and disabled citizens can't be afforded to speak because of rules of decorum. And that's why, you can't really suppress public speakers, because again, you're in the result of what I call viewpoints of discrimination. And say, for example, like when Sec Y of State of Maryland versus Joseph H. Munson, Colorado, 467 U.S. 947, 965 N 13, 1984, Ms. Garcia, or Norse versus Norwalk, Norwalk versus California, Whitney versus California, Acosta versus the U.S. See, these are all protected speech. And it's sad that you try to suppress that, Mr. Rodriguez. I thought you were really more American than I am.
Thank you.
See, so when Eric Garcetti created gentrification and pushed all those homeless people, all those residents out of their rent control home who lived in their homes for 10 years, and when I was up in Pasadena and Terry Tornek and those other elected officials there at their capacity are doing the same, is it ironic that we have gateway cities, Mr. Aldo, where
Thank you,
people
Mr. Herman.
are being pushed out of the community?
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Herman. God bless you. Thank you. Next.
Am I right? It's nice to have two homes.
Yeah.
Mr. Herman, please, your time is up.
Sir, please step forward. State your name.
Hello, my name is Roger Collins.
Good evening, sir.
I grew up in the 40s, 50s, 60s here in Downey. My father has lived here since 1949. I attempted to try and move him from the Downey residence out of state, about 800 miles away. I have bought 3 trailers, 16-foot enclosed trailers. I had 2 in the driveway, 1 to take up out of state. My father is 101 years old. He's almost blind. There's a canopy in front of our garage, way back in the back of our property. One day, I was out on the porch. They were doing curb construction, replacement, cracked curbs. The code enforcement officer walked onto the property, was pointing out the property that we were moving in the driveway into the trailer was a violation. I forget what the word was that he had for it. Dunnage, I don't know, I have so many letters here. I'm so frustrated with all this. It is just a very sad situation. We live on Coldbrook Avenue. We have neighbors we've known most of my life. I've come from out of state trying to help him move to my home up in Oregon. 3 or 4 days a week, we were gone for about almost 3 weeks, moving and emptying out a trailer out of state. I had another trailer in the driveway. It is a real eyesore. I'd like to show it or pass it around if I can. It is causing such a public disturbance as we are trying to move. We're quiet. We work during the daylight. And I have contacted code enforcement 4 times, talking for 25, 30 minutes each time. The information they do not communicate with one another. The person that picks up the phone listens, and they apologize and say, we have to comply. I have citations here. While we were away, and date lines to be completed while we were unloading in another state. It's I don't know, what can I do?
So, Mr. Collins, maybe I can help you. So there's a gentleman right here, Aldo Schindler, and maybe you can step aside and talk with him directly. He's the director of that department.
I have attempted to reach 2 other departments other than the code department this week. We just got back Saturday, and I've got citations in my hand. I've got pictures. They were taking photographs. They were using binoculars. This is what my neighbors are telling me. They are upset.
Sure.
They're at the point where they are considering moving away from the city of Downey.
Right.
It just blows my mind.
So that's why I suggest that you talk to the department head directly, and maybe he can help you with that.
I called that department.
I'm sorry,
but the department
the
head is
issue's a
here.
motorhome, is that what it is? I'm still confused on what the issue
It is
is.
called a, what do they call it, a toy hauler that I purchased to move my father's possessions.
Okay.
Okay.
It is very ugly, and I know the officer that came, and let me read this one letter here. Blight, I'm sorry, I'm running out of time.
Okay, Mr. Collins, I'd like to introduce you to Aldo Schindler. He's the director of that department. And so those code enforcement officers that spoke with you, they work for him. So maybe he can help you directly.
Okay, I've attempted all I can with the department.
Okay. But have you talked to Mr. Schindler?
And I failed. I
Have you talked to
failed all along for the last almost 3 months now.
Okay. Okay, sir. If you could just speak with Aldo, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help you. This gentleman right here.
They have different
right here.
people coming out
Yes.
and doing all this stuff, and it just blows my mind.
Okay. Mr. Collins, this guy right here, this guy right there, with his hand up. He'll help you. Talk to him. He'll help you. Yes, ma'am.
I want to speak with my neighbors I live on Alameda and Gurley. My name is Rocher Fording. I've lived there since 1990. It wasn't an accident that I moved to Downey. I have 4 boys, now I have 5. I came for the school district. I came for the police department. I came for the fire department. I came for the library, and I came for the mall. Yay me. That was very important. My husband wanted a property that was on the corner. That's all he wanted. He didn't care. That's what he got. We've worked hard to keep our house. Came to attention yesterday that in our neighborhood, my community, our community, they're going to have a residential care facility, a business in our neighborhood. I don't live on a business property, because if I did with 5 boys, I would have turned it into a facility and charged them, because it's expensive to live in Downey, and it's a choice that we pay a lot for.
Yes.
But they're going to put a residential care facility in there. The neighbor next door to that house, she's lived her whole entire life in Downey. She's afraid. My neighbor's afraid. My community's afraid. I'm afraid. I have 5 boys, over 6 foot. They're huge. My husband is huge. Am I afraid? Yeah. The city won't let me put up my fence. I have to move it 10 feet back. I live at home. We have to take care and live in the city. I can't vacation. My parents are older. We have to take care of them. But this neighbor that's in her 90s next door lived all her life. All she wants to do is be safe. She wants to be safe in her little Downey castle when she closes her door and have peace of mind. But she's not. She's not concerned. She's afraid. My neighbor is afraid. When it rains, we check on our neighbors. When it's too hot, we check on our neighbors. When there's an earthquake, we check on our neighbors. When our neighbors have babies, we check on our neighbors. And now our neighbors are afraid because a facility is moving into our area. Is it a detox facility? No one knows. Is it an alcohol facility? No one knows. Is it for veterans? No one knows. Now, the person that bought that house bought a house. I bought a home. A house is the house they bought, they're turning it into a facility. A facility is a business. I don't want to live in a business area. I don't want to move. Like the neighbor that lives next door, she born in Downey. She wants, when the Lord comes to get her, she wants to live out of her house, and she's able to. But she's scared. So I want to know, does this guy have a business permit? Did Downey give him a business permit? Not Disney, would that be great though? Okay. Do they have that? The person that didn't pull a permit when he started working, who is it? Is it a business? I understand the whole thing. I've emailed you all, nothing personal, it's my job. I've researched it all, and my assistants researched it all. My whole company, I drove them nuts today. Did I do my work? No. Did I irritate you guys? Sorry, it's my job. It's my neighborhood, it's my community. I chose to live in Downey, but I didn't choose to have a business in my area. I can see it across the street, 5 houses down. I don't live next to it, but it's gonna affect me. It's gonna affect what I do, where I go, and what I see. And I hate the time running out. So who's accountable for it? You're a councilman. I know you guys, your hands are tied. Tell me where to go. I'll have a party, I'll have a barbecue, I will strike. I will turn the street blue, purple, green, you name me. You name me what you want us to do. We need attention to this. We can't have our neighborhood turned into a business. I can't move my house into a business. How come they can? And who is this guy? Has he lived in Downey? No. He bought a house and he's turning it into a facility. In my block, in my community, in my area. And he scared my people, your Downey people. Why? I want to know why. There has to be some kind of, and I found out yesterday at 8:05, and I did all this work. So no one answers me. I can read to you what California says. I can read to you what Washington says. I can read everything you guys wrote me, and thank you for answering me. But what are you guys going to do for us? Where do we go? What direction do we go? Okay. We need help.
I'm allowing you to take your 5 minutes, and then I'll respond to you, so go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I just don't want to say I'm
Because I can
ignoring
go on
you.
for hours.
Okay.
There's next week, I'll be back.
This is, you're right, this is a bigger topic than just 5 minutes worth. So I'm going to let our city manager address you directly.
Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming up and speaking, and for the residents coming out. Quite frankly, the fact that you're here shows that you have a lot of care for your neighborhood and care for the city. And I will assure you that everybody here, I got all the emails, and they also forward them to me, and so no, that's what we want. We want
I'll
people.
start again tomorrow.
No, we. It's our job. We
ask my neighbors.
That's our job. Our job is to represent you and listen to you.
It's not an accident I lived in Downey. I searched. I struggled to keep my house. I have 5 boys, and none of them have been arrested.
Yeah.
Thank God. I have Viking fans, and none of them have been kicked out of Downey. And Warren's the best high school in there. We'll stop there.
Absolutely. So first of all, let me applaud you for being here tonight, and let me assure you that your concerns are not going without being being taken care of, or that's probably a strong word, but acknowledged. Here's the issue that we're on. The city, over the last several years, has been fighting Sacramento. We recently defeated a number of bills. You asked how you can help. I will tell you, you can help by writing your local senator and state assembly member. So,
Done.
okay. So, because the last round of legislation that recently went through would have dramatically changed the landscape of local cities throughout California. They would have allowed for single-family residents to go to 3 to 4 units by right, period. Okay, so we fought. This particular council and the mayor fought a campaign in order to defeat that. And this particular issue is currently, there is, I think, a legislation from Pasadena that's introduced some legislation to monitor and to change this particular law. I know that some of you have wrote about putting a moratorium on this particular. The city does not have the ability to institute a moratorium on a state law. So
So our hands are really tight. So we've been really fighting a lot of the density issues. For example, there was a Senator Wiener that presented a housing bill that would allow for units, density units, to go to 6 stories around any transportation-related facility, meaning a simple bus stop would have changed the character. So I will tell you that the staff and the city council is actively fighting these things, going to Sacramento, meeting with our legislators, and we've been fortunate and we've defeated many of those legislations moving forward. And this is one that has been on the books. We're trying to fight to change that, and we're continuing to do that. And just know that we're working to do that. Now, you say you don't know who they are. We don't know who they are. The way the state operates is that they have to get their building permits, or they got to get their approvals, and the state doesn't let us know at all if that particular business until later on. So that's a challenge, and that's another change that we want to make in in that legislation. So we have been fighting a whole host of things. A lot of these things that really would have dramatically changed our neighborhood, we've defeated. But I want you to keep vigilant, because it's not the end of the story, because these things are going to be reintroduced in the next session. And so those are the things that where we need our residents to come out and say, hey, we need to put pressure on our assembly member, our state senator, whoever it is, and do that. Believe it or not, your letters and your voice matter. So when you call or when you write a letter, it's almost as if, several thousand people have called. It makes a difference. So don't believe that it doesn't, because it really does. So that doesn't solve your immediate problem. I recognize that, but I will tell you this, that if you can get a petition together, we will help you send that to Sacramento along with our concerns and the things that and we'll make the visits there to make sure that that legislation moves forward in order to regulate these facilities and to give cities the ability to say no. Those cities that have challenged this particular law, they're all in litigation. They're all pending right now. I know it's frustrating. I'm not giving you the answer that you want, but
you're giving me information.
But that's the state of where we're literally in a fight to protect local control. And that's what we're doing right now. So I want to let you know that we're not sitting on our hands, and we've been fighting, because I could make a list, and in fact, Vanya, if you could provide a list of the legislation from last year, and we'll send it to those who've emailed to you, and we'll send it to you, that were defeated, which you didn't know about, and that would have dramatically changed the landscape. So we're fighting the good fight, and we'll continue to fight the good fight, and we appreciate what you're doing. That's about as much information that I can offer, and as much support as we can. We're with you hand in hand to fight this.
Which is great, but I know my 5 minutes. I'll take her 5 minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So, which is great. There you go. Oh, you get my 5 minutes. Okay. So here's the thing that gets me. We follow the rules. Can't put up my fence unless I lose 10 feet of my property. You know that's not going to happen. I worked hard for those 10 feet. Okay. So I have a garage sale to sell my junk. I get a permit. I can only have 2 years,
Right.
2 garage sales a year. So I pay for my permit. I follow all the rules because I'm a Downey citizen, and I want everybody else to follow. I want you to follow your rules too.
I do.
Okay. So now this guy moves into my neighborhood.
And by the way, he's not a guy, he's an investment. He belongs to Southland Financial. He's located at 150 South Glen Oak Boulevard in Burbank, California. He has no vested interest.
Let's time out real quick.
Sorry.
How about if you now get your 5 minutes and you let her speak, please?
Yeah.
That way.
No.
You're next. You're next. Yeah.
She's the one that tapped me on the shoulder.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she's the troublemaker.
Okay.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
I'm the one with the petition.
Ma'am, your name?
My name is Mary Eves. I was here
Thank you, Mary.
on May 14th.
Okay.
He's located, the plan is to locate this home right next to my 90-year-old mother. We've been in the community. My dad had a business for over 60 years. We still maintain that business today, and my mom's lived in that house for 56 years. I've had to put up cameras. I have a security coming in to protect her. She no longer feels safe in her home. This is a lady at 90 years old that would have
Ma'am,
a front door
has there
open.
been some act that's made you?
There's people coming in and out of the property.
People like
Yeah,
construction
the construction
workers?
people,
Okay.
then it turns out they don't have any permits,
Okay.
yet they built a fence that's still up on our property. They've built into their garage, and nothing has happened. They extended the back of their house, no permit.
Those are all things,
He
by the way,
also
that are.
tried to bully my mother to sign away the right to the property on the property line. So that was number one. And so when you bully a 90-year-old woman, she better not have a daughter, right? Because my mom's tough, and hopefully I'm a little tougher, because you cannot bully these people. You can't take advantage of them because they're 90. I brought a lot of neighbors. There's a lot of neighbors. Can you raise your hand? Right? We're all in this together. We have a great community. We help each other. But this guy is a business for profit. He has no business in our neighborhood for a business for profit. If you go by there, it's called the abandoned house. When I was handing out the flyers, they go, "Oh, you mean the abandoned house?" That's what it looks like. None of the other houses look like that on our street. It's a shame that we're allowing this. And I was going to ask, so what's the difference between the state of California thumbing their nose at federal law about the sanctuary city and Orange County getting a judge to overturn the sanctuary city saying it doesn't apply? Why can't we do the same thing? I just need clarity on that.
You want to answer it?
Well, I'll defer the legal questions to our city attorney on that particular issue.
What was the question again?
Oh, said, all righty. So
What's the
our state of California thumbed their nose at federal law, saying that yes, we're going to be a sanctuary city, even though federal law said it was not legal. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so this is just my interpretation. So feel free to correct me. And then Orange County and I believe San Diego got rulings that said this law does not apply. We are not sanctuary cities. And I believe Huntington Beach was on 9/28/18. Why can't we do the same thing? Why can't we push back more?
So in those sanctuary city situations, those local communities took a position, and there was litigation as a result. Okay? Here, if we go against a state law, we're going to invite litigation. There'll be litigation against the city because the state law will trump whatever the city does. And so there'll be a litigation where that needs to get resolved. So that's a difference. They took a position, invited litigation. It went through the court system. There was a ruling.
Right.
Same thing would have to happen here.
Didn't we do that?
So let me add one more thing. One of the things is we're always cognizant.
Say yes.
Yeah. So we're always cognizant of a litigation, what it would cost. We know that there are at least, I think, 4 other lawsuits on this particular issue. So somebody's paying that dime for exactly what you want to see happen. So we're waiting right now to see where it goes, and if they're successful, then we're good. We can implement the law. So somebody's already spent their hard-earned nickel in order to fight this, and so we're waiting to hear what that result is.
There is already pending litigation challenging Costa Mesa's ordinance, which it puts in place regulations for residential care facilities, even those under 6 or under. There's federal law. They've spent millions of dollars in litigation. There's no need for the city to jump into that fray. That those cases are already making their way in federal court. We have to take a wait and see attitude to see how that plays out. If it plays out in favor of Costa Mesa, that allows Downey and other cities to implement similar regulations. But that's kind of where the position we've taken so far, because those cases are already in the system.
So you mentioned a petition.
Yes.
How many signatures do you need?
Look, obviously, the more signatures that you have, the more that we send up. It just shows how serious, the issue is. And so, again, there is a legislator who is proposing legislation, so we want to be able to support that legislation. So the more that we have is always better.
And our local legislators, Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, and who's actually office here in Downey next to the Portos building, and also Senator Bob Archuleta, who's located in Norwalk.
Yeah.
So, they can change it tomorrow if they voted on that. They're in Sacramento.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
And my mom said to say thank you, too.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Lacy.
Mr. Lacy?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Levis and staff, good evening. Couple items on my agenda, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'm happy. I'm happy.
If you're happy,
because-
I'm happy.
I'm sorry, sir?
If you're happy, I'm happy. Thank you for saying that.
Good. I'm happy because there are no reports of any Downey City officials brawling at the recent Contract Cities meeting in
got
Indian
pretty
Wells.
Yes, sir.
Next item is opioids. There are many reports that our country is in a crisis with the overdose. When a person has a drug overdose and there is a call for help, the response of that help is extremely important. Many times the police department arrive at the scene prior to the paramedics. So with that in mind, certain police departments have authorized their officers to administer the medication called Narcan, N-A-R-C-A-N.
Narcan.
Thank you. This drug counteracts the effects of the opioid issue. I don't know if the city has looked into this or not, but if not, I would suggest the city consider having the police department authorize the use of their officers to administer the Narcan when it's appropriate. And the last item, Mr. Mayor, is that the UCLA women's softball team have won the national championship. Just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you, sir.
That ends my comments, Mr.
Very good.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
And our police do administer Narcan, right? They're trained in that.
Yes.
Mr. Lacy, our police officers do carry Narcan.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, noting no further speakers, non-agenda public comment is now closed. Are there any consent calendar, any council members that would like to remove or abstain from the items?
I'd like to pull item number 21.
Anybody else?
I'm going to abstain from item 4 and 8.
Anybody else?
Motion to approve remaining items.
Second?
We need to take public comment first. Are there any comments from the public on the consent calendar items only?
So you see, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this calendar is loaded with items because they want us to pay more on taxes. You see, 23 items. And you got to pick out of 23 items the one that's most important for you to realize that we are getting choked by taxes. And not just taxes. Let's talk about the federal program that was allocated monies in 2015. And it was finalized 4 years later, 2019. What the is going on with this shit? Sutherland Consulting Group. How many consulting groups do you have to bring into the city of Downey? We got a bunch of smart council people who should make a decision whether or not we're going to pay for consultant fees to determine whether or not, and as I'll put it here, services for the Downey City Library. That was talked about earlier, a library. But no, you can't talk about the library to authorize the mayor to execute the amendment. Why not? Because the consultant's only going to get paid $7,500 per year. How much does the mayor get in a kickback? How much money does the council people get in a free dinner with a bottle of $300 of wine? Well, there is the issue there because, again, in one of the smallest cities in California, Downey, it is expected that individuals will sometimes use language that does not conform to conventions of civility and decorum. The rules of decorum may include offensive swear words, such as the ones used by the speaker. Well, who the fuck's the speaker? The one using offensive speech. By more use of profanity as an intensifier in the content of speech, either the council or the public regarding items of city business, such as this library issue. In extent to that, in 2015, Caltrans has 57 lights, and we're sharing 33 outside street lights with a budget of $2 million and Exhibit A in District 121. Now, if we can't fix our infrastructure of streets, why the hell are we putting priorities of quality of life for infrastructures in parks? It doesn't make sense. Give the peasants what they need, parks, right? No, give us a library so I can educate myself along with all the other people here so we could have a damn library so I don't have to go to Cerritos and deal with those morons. Because when I was in Pasadena using their library, the morons in Pasadena, Mayor Terry, Tornek, Tornek, like the other jackass from the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Garcetti, Garcetti, have made a real problem with infrastructure. And that problem is called, what was it, Aldo? Yeah, Director Aldo. Gateway cities. And in those gateway cities where the trains are going to connect all the people of transits coming into your small community while you're at work and robbing us, right? Guess what? Aldo will be in his Sacramento home along with his home here in Downey because he doesn't care. Gateway cities, I don't care for because, again, you're not making anything affordable. You're outsourcing our children to live with mommy and daddy because they can't afford their mortgages.
Mr. Herman, address me, please. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm not talking about anybody. I'm talking about the director. You're a director.
Yeah, talk to me.
So you see, once again, all this apprehension about First Amendment is a rule of thumb. Let the speaker finish their time. Don't give additional time to outside comment because then you open it up to criticism. If you're going to let other people speak over the time, then hell, I want to speak over that time too.
Then you'll speak to me.
And I am.
All right.
Because life's a bitch. And Eric Garcetti, the mayor from Los Angeles, is one of those bitches that I bitch to all the time. So I don't give a rat's ass about the budget. All I care about is seeing our library built immediately and expedite every dollar and cent to get it fixed immediately before the end of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. God bless you. Thank you. Anyone else?
This is public comment for consent calendar items only. So anything that's on the agenda.
We were just talking about the Ganesh Avenue thing with the homes.
Yes.
You wanted us to sign petitions?
Yes,
Okay, make a
but-
petition. So we as just general public people don't know the legality
Okay,
side
so,
or any of that.
no,
of the
but we
petition
want-
side.
we want-
What
and-
we'd like to do is ask you guys for help.
We will.
setting up the petition.
And we
so
will.
can get
So what we can do is, with all your residents here, well, Aldo Schindler, our Director of Economic Development, if he can meet with you guys outside and talk about that. All right, sir. Thank you. Good job, Aldo.
That was a disruption and it worked.
Mr. Herman, your time is up. Thank you.
Okay.
Move to close public comment.
Second.
Okay.
Motion remains on consent calendar.
Can you get a second for that remainder on the consent calendar? Need
We have a second, Mayor.
You do have a second?
Yes.
Can you please vote?
There we go.
Samantha.
Mr. Herman, this is not the time for public comment. That's already finished. You're disrupting. Please sit down. Let the council continue with this meeting. Thank you.
That's fine.
So we got item number 21.
Yes.
You got
Next
it.
item.
Good job.
The consent calendar was approved with Councilmember Ashton pulling item number 21 for separate discussion. Councilmember Saab abstaining from items 4 and 8.
Sean.
All right, so this is the one we talked about the last council meeting, or I think it was the last one anyway, with the app-based rideshare parking. So what was changed between that meeting and this meeting?
I'll go ahead and turn it over to Delfino, and he can articulate some of the changes that were made.
The meeting on the 28th of May was introduction of the ordinance. This is the actual adoption of the ordinance.
Okay, so we didn't really change anything then. So then I'm going to ask my question that I asked 2 weeks ago. What is going to be the boundary of the for the downtown district? We've established a parking area that says that if you're going to pick up somebody between 6 and 2 Thursday through 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday through Sunday, that you have to do it in this area. What is going to be the limits of that district that, you know, where you can't just pick it up, you know, wherever?
Just to clarify, this item itself is for the ordinance. Now the location that we identified here is a potential location. So we did identify, we looked at it in the downtown area, and this is the most probable location where we can put these 2 Uber or Lyft parking areas. And my experience working or using Uber or Lyft, whenever you call or order for a ride, if you're in that particular area, let me just back up a little bit. So once this ordinance is approved and effective, we will notify Uber and Lyft that this would be the special parking zones that will be they will be able to load and unload passengers. Now Uber and Lyft, they will inform all their drivers that this would be the 2 stalls that they can load and unload passengers. Now it may happen that if you're like 2 blocks away and you order the ride, normally if there's an available space or parking space that's not occupied and they can pick you up from there, then they will pick you up from there. So these 2 spaces are really for convenience, that those 2 spaces will be available all the time between 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. when you have passengers that may be using these services at that time.
So then how will someone know whether they're going to get picked up in a parking space or in this special place? Usually the way this works, when you designate a parking spot to get picked up at, there's like a geofence in the area that says, okay, you cannot just pick up anybody anywhere. You have to go to this area to get picked up. So my question again is, you know, and you kind of said that this isn't going to be specific. This is just establishing just the ordinance saying we can create these anywhere. But I was just wondering if we were going to be doing this in the downtown area. You know, my question then would be, you know, what would be the geofence for that area, for that spot? But seeing that we're not picking a specific area, we're just saying we're going to allow for the establishment of these parking zones in the city of Downey. Could be in the downtown area, could be at the promenade or wherever, but we're making that to establish the generality of the parking zones, not necessarily establishing a specific zone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
This item itself is for the ordinance, so we can create those special
So then
zones.
staff is going to eventually.
So then with
figure
that,
out
I was assuming that this was going to be for, because the way it's kind of presented and you got the zone and the map and the thing, I'm assuming we were trying to establish the specific zone. So with that, saying that I'm okay with it right now. I would like this, once we get to establishing the specific zone, obviously that'll come back to council for.
Those 2 areas were just provided as an example. That might be a good area. Correct.
That's fine. So with that, my questions are fine. I move to approve.
Second.
Do we need to vote again?
Public comment.
Okay. Okay. Public comment for this item only.
There's another.
Oh.
Oh,
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
name is Faraz. I'm from the 2nd District. Generally,
Can you speak into the mic,
Speak up a
please?
little bit, sir.
My apologies.
There you go.
My name is Faraz. Generally, I a person that takes Uber and Lyft, I generally approve of like easier access for people to be able to, use rideshare apps. Is it only going to be specific for Uber or Lyft, or is it any general?
It's ride shares.
Rideshare.
They're right now, that's what they're doing right now. They're working all the kinks out of there.
Then, yeah, I approve. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for approving.
Yes, sir.
Best comment of the night.
I think so.
See that? Young man?
Very polite.
Direct and to the point.
Yes, sir.
Shocking, yeah?
But let me shock you now. Because, as we already know, what is the opinion of Chief Dean Milligan on this parking adventure? I want the chief to weigh in whether or not it's safe, because he does a hell of a job with those motorcycle cops out there on Firestone and Downey.
With you, you're right. I agree.
And I want the public to know whether or not this is appropriate. Because I'll tell you, most of the time, all the time, rideshare people park wherever they want. They block you from turning, they unsafely stop, and they make immediate stops. And better of all, when you're walking the crosswalk, they tend to be looking at their app as they're making a right-hand turn. So you can say what you want us to believe, and I will say I agree with Sean Ashton.
Yeah.
So the point here, again, is as of tonight, when you purchase that Maserati for the chief so that he could patrol rideshare parking, then we can say, and I will not be in opposition, I will give a yes vote, but only until you say we will buy the chief of police a brand new Maserati so that he can share it with all his staff when they need to go out and patrol for the rideshare parking problems. Uber, Lyft, all these conditions of illegal parking and illegal driving while you're using an app or you're driving with it in your hand. I see it all the time.
Yes, sir.
And it's disgusting that your phone, your cell phone, your computer device is more important than respecting the public right of way when you drive. But you rather have us back in here to say, by the way, Mr. Mayor, you opened it to discussion.
Yes, sir. Yes, I did.
Here's the liability now. Because you allowed it, this is what the courts in Downey have said off of Imperial. And then you're going to say, okay, well, Mr. Herman, let's just go out to the side and settle it. Just like you did with me that one time on the First Amendment. So I just want to make sure the public understands that. Don't be afraid to challenge the municipal corporation at Downey. You're not taking away money from the people at Downey. You're only protecting residents of Downey by enforcing the rules that the government suppresses us upon us. We make a mistake. Do they say, okay, it's a warning? When you make a mistake, do they say, next time pay attention, this is a warning? Because I see you have a
Mr. Herman, talk to me, please.
But instead,
by the way, that is a warning. Talk to me.
Instead, see, I don't believe in warnings.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that because they're unconstitutional.
Okay. All right.
You violate not only my First Amendment when you interrupt me in my less than 1 minute and 41 seconds. Why didn't you do it to the ladies?
Because I wanted you to talk to me.
Why didn't you do it to the community before me?
I did.
Because you use a different rule of judging people. And that's the mistake of the city attorney, because she should immediately say to you, Mr. Rodriguez, the speaker's time is up. Have them have a seat. Let's engage in the business of the people. Instead, you make it offensive to those of us who follow the rules, who follow the
How
warnings.
is this relevant
and
to
instead
the
you suppress
app-based
us.
thing?
That's a good point. That's a good
So
point.
let me go back now to the Maserati rideshare parking program. As adopted under ordinance number 19, the Chief of Police, Dean R. Milligan, on and under ordinance of the City Council of the City of Downey by the people, the legislative body, amending Part 11, will agree under Chapter 1 of this Article 3 that the City of Downey Municipal Code will be related that the Chief Dean R. Milligan will have the first drive in a Maserati to establish app-based ridershare parking zones in the public works area of the City of Downey. and he will enforce his communication tonight because he needs to address the issue. Are we safe with these app-based parking areas? I want the chief of police to weigh in tonight. That's in closing of my 10 seconds. As you said, we can't sing, but we can make noise. We can do things with our time on the clock.
God bless you, Mr. Herman. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay.
Second, Mr. Ashton's motion.
Okay.
Please vote.
Thank you. Thank you. You want to switch chairs with me?
I thought you forgot.
No, jeez. I'm looking at her. Trying to.
I'm sure you got distracted by the loudspeaker.
Yeah. Not Mr. Herman. He didn't distract me.
The motion
I love
was
that guy.
approved unanimously.
I'm just really
The
concerned.
microphone was on.
No, I'm just really concerned. How are we going to get our chief of police in a Maserati?
I don't think that's a good use of
That's a good
public
question.
funds,
That's a convertible.
Mayor.
That's a tough one.
That's all I'm saying.
All right. Staff member comments. City Manager Levis, you have anything worthwhile that you want to add to our tonight's meeting?
I think you've said it all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's meeting is now adjourned in memory of the victims of our shooting in Virginia Beach. Please, a moment of silence. Media adjourned. Thank you.